Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. We got an Acer this time, Chromebook, with an Intel chip. We have hope for hacking a Mac OS or Windows onto this thing in the end, of course. And I've already bookmarked all the lowdown on how to do it. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta go through this much? But anyways, it's not as simple as it sounds. So, let's talk about this, shall we? I'm gonna try my best in future, at least with Chromebooks, because I'm sure this won't be the last, to not be as negative. Okay. Now, in quite honesty, I do hate these things. I think they are the epitome of garbage. I think they are a waste of materials. And I also do not believe in total that you are technically, realistically getting your value for your dollar. Okay. Because there are a lot of other options out there in the Windows environment. Okay, especially if you want to compare, because we don't want to talk about Macs, they're expensive, right? That are definitely far better choices in the end. Okay, but these are made for a specific type of people. Okay, and this is what we have to look at. They are made for students in schools, definitely, depending on the school. Some schools actually use Mac. Okay, others will use Chromebooks. It kind of depends on what school board you're under, etc., etc., okay? And it doesn't matter what country you live in, they're all the same. So, let's talk about this thing specifically, all right? This is an Acer Chromebook 311 series. It's a model CB311-9H-C6QW, and it has a model number, which is specific to searching out information. The actual model number is what you want to know about, and this is an N17Q8, okay? Now, its DC rating is 15 volts, 3 amps, okay, which means you need some charger power to charge this thing and run at the same time. One of the unfortunates that I'm finding in Chromebooks is an average of a 45 watt power supply, which is not adequate according to Google. When you first turn this thing on, it actually tells you that especially if the battery is dead, okay, which this one was too, it doesn't have enough power to charge the battery and run the machine at the same time, because the battery is like dead right now, right? Now, what it's going to be like as far as once the battery's charged, would it be able to keep up? Very slowly. It's going to take a while. Your machine will charge better if you just power it off and put it on the charger. That's it. Or you can throw this piece of garbage in the toilet where it belongs and flush it, or step on it, or take a sledgehammer to it. I don't care what you do with it. The point is, what you need is one of these babies. Okay, this is 96 watts. So it's more than double that thing. And it has more than enough amperage at that voltage that's going to be required to charge the battery properly. Okay, now yeah, this is USB-C, but these things alternate its power depending on what it senses for the system. It supplies that amount of power, so you're not going to like overcharge the thing or supercharge it or anything at a higher voltage rate. Okay, it's going to know what it's plugged into instantaneously and automatically switch to feeding the power required. I found that this brick, which you can get on Amazon, it's a 96 watt, so just any 96 watt will do you. And this is Type-C, comes with a Type-C to Type-C, really monstrous and long cable, so that's awesome. And it will more than run this thing and charge at the same time. I have tested this charger specifically on this laptop, if you want to call it that, and my Asus ARMS system, okay, which is also a Chromebook. No hassles, no problems, didn't light anything on fire, didn't blow anything up, so you're fine, and it does the job. Stock charger, garbage, okay? So, that's just where we're going to tell you the facts and the truth, okay? No bias here. Now, this is $200 Canadian for this Acer, all right? And I'm going to give you the specs and what you get for your money for $200. You get Chrome OS 64-bit. You get an Intel Celeron N4020 at 1.1 gigahertz dual core with a turbo overclock. Starting to sound like Windows. 2.8 gigahertz. Okay, and like we said, it's dual core. You get 4 gigabytes of memory, DDR4, which is apparently not upgradable, okay, in these things. You get 32 gigabytes of storage, which is the MMC storage, not upgradable. Now, there are Chromebooks out there where you couldn't apparently upgrade the SSD. I'm not sure about the RAM, though. But I did run across one that you had a straight out SSD in it that apparently is upgradable, but I didn't want to buy that one because it had an AMD chip in it, and AMD and ARM chips will not work for hacking on Windows or the Mac OS if you wanted to do that. But otherwise, if you want an ARM-based machine, they are friggin' super nice and super fast, which is our Asus here. This is our ARM system, okay? And it's pretty crunchy. It's great for gaming too. Anyways, 1366 by 768, which is the native resolution. It will go a little bit higher in resolution to, when you bring your resolution higher, it gives you more desktop space or more window space, but at the cost of smaller text. Okay, that's just the way resolutions work. It's Ultra HD Graphics 600, shared graphics memory with the RAM, 2 stereo speakers, which in this case, they're located on the bottom here. Okay, that's what these grills are. All right. And what else? There's stereo, obviously. You do have wireless AC 9560, which is an Intel wireless. It's 802.11 ABGN and AC, both 2.4 gigahertz connection and 5 gigahertz connection. All right. You have Bluetooth 5.0, fairly current stuff. All right, no problem. So, hey, even this Microsoft mouse works, obviously, because we're using it on there. Webcam, yes, it's 1280 by 720p. Webcams, we'll never see 1080p webcams on even Windows computers unless they cost a lot of money. And I do mean a lot of money, apparently. I don't know why the PC world is so behind on that. I mean, everybody used to crap about Apple, and Apple's now doing everything 1080p, type of thing. But anyways, let's continue on. Forget Apple for now. Interface ports. Number of 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports is 2. Total number of USB ports is actually 4. Now, what the version is of the 2 Type C ports, they don't specify. But I would have to say we need to take a step outside into the dark side and say that they are likely 3.1 Gen 1 as well, okay? Now, for the ports, we do get Kensington lock, USB-C, USB-A. On the other side, we got USB-C, which is also our charge port. We got another Type A, we got our micro SD, and we got our headphone jack, okay? And remember, 32 gigabytes of storage. And right now with Chrome OS on here, and Raid Shadow Legends game, which chews up 4 gigs, I got 16 gigs free on this thing. So, yeah, 16 gigs is not a lot. It is a lot when it comes to text and to a certain point some music stuff. I would be very careful what you try to put into this for programs. Raid Shadow Legends said it was under 300 megabytes, so I'm like, okay, let's download it. Well, that's the app. The apps are tiny. It's the rest of the program that gets installed. Total usage is about 4 gigabytes. So some apps definitely are not telling you the entirety. Okay, you will find out when you check on your storage and go, oh, I gotta delete some stuff. Yeah, no kidding. Touchpad is your only input for your pointing device. There is no touch screen on this machine. This is $200. You get what you pay for, apparently. But you can also use a mouse. Bluetooth it, okay? Bluetooth your headphones too if you wanted to, I'm sure. 3-cell lithium-ion battery, 10 hours of estimated runtime, which is reasonably accurate, okay? 45-watt power supply, which you already talked about. It's a piece of garbage. Just go buy a real one. And they get into some other little stuff here. Discrete H1 trusted platform TPM module with Chromebook Kensington lock. Green compliant, yes. $200 Canadian right from the Acer website, or buy it in your local store. You shouldn't be paying more than what Acer charges. So, and you might find it on sale too. You never know, right? It kind of varies. However, let's get into a little bit of nitty-gritties here because we need to discuss a few things so you know what happens in life. With the touchpad, no right click, right? It's like we got left click, we can left click stuff, so that's not a problem. Left click, yep. Right click, it's going to do the same as the left, okay? However, if you want right click, you can set that up in the specs for either the search button and right, which we don't have set up, okay? Or you can go alt and right. Keyboard shortcut is turned off because I tried it and it said it is. Now, if we go into settings, into here, and we'll go about Chrome OS, where did it go? Network, Bluetooth, connected devices, trackpad. Okay, trackpad, enable tap to click is on. Touchpad and keyboard to right click is disabled. So you have only two choices to enable right clicking. Search plus click or alt plus click, which means that when you select either one, so we're going to select the search because it doesn't matter. Now you can hold down the search key and right click. That is stupid that you have to do a keyboard shortcut with a right click to right click something to have a functionality. That's ridiculous because with your mouse attached, there's not even a setup. You just bind your mouse and you automatically have right click. You automatically have scroll. You automatically have everything. So that is actually stupid. Chrome, you need to get your game together. Okay, kids? Like, seriously. Get this stuff functional the way it should be. And this is not how it should be. That's for darn sure. Anyways, I'm going to disable it because I'm just using a mouse on this. I hate trackpads anyways. Touch acceleration is on. Enable tap dragging is turned off right now. You got your accounts area, personalization, do a lot of stuff in here, etc. Chrome OS, diagnostics. Now in diagnostics, it's going to tell you, don't download battery apps. I did this mistake myself, and then I finally found it in here later on. It's like, duh. Okay. Anyways, battery health is at 90. Cycle count is 10. It tells me it's a 290 milliamp battery. And I have 7 hours and 4 minutes of runtime left on this battery. And I haven't really been doing much. It's taken me about 20 tries to do this video, but that's beside the point. And that does too little power when you're also launching Raid Shadow Legends every time just to get to this to show you something. Now, there is no touch. There is no swiping apps closed or any of that stuff. One of the things I'm going to give you some advice on is, especially in something like a game or another program where you can't just exit out of the corner, like in Chrome. When you're in Chrome, you click the exit, actually literally closes and quits the app properly, okay? In this case, with a lot of games, if you press the escape key, you can get into quit or get back to your menus and then quit that way. Some games may quit properly. This is not one of them. This one, to quit it properly without the extra steps, I'm going to show you all this. But we got to wait till it gets itself loaded here because it does take a little bit longer to load this program on this one than it does on my ARM-based Chromebook, which has got like 8 cores of Fury in it and a lot faster cores. Okay, so this takes a little bit longer. It will play. Just playing on this for about 5 minutes, by the way, with this game, this laptop, if you want to call it that, got really freaking hot. So I'm like, maybe this game's a little too raunchy for this thing. Okay, so we're in Shadow Legends. Now, you've got trackpad or you've got mouse if you've got a mouse attached. Now, if you bring up your pointer to the top corner, you can exit right out of here and it literally quits the game and shuts the app off, okay? But if you're going to use the escape key mode, it says quit game. Are you sure you want to exit the game? Of course I do. So if we click that, we exit the game. It said we quit, but it lied because there's still a line underneath the app, which means it's still actually running. So watch. You're going to like this. Well, maybe not. So if we click on it, the game is still actually running, chewing up RAM and resources. Okay? So if we do quit this way, we need right-click capability. So if we have the mouse on, we're fine, and we select close. Or if we have just a trackpad, if we have the shortcut on, we could do it. But if that shortcut's not on, you have no right-click. You cannot quit that app. if you're relying just on the trackpad. So the only other way around this is to restart the computer, and then it would quit it. Okay, or you go back into the game, and then you go up here and you select from there, and then it does actually literally shut down the app properly. So just keep in mind how these functions actually work, okay? Now, keeping my full opinion and bias out of here, okay, and my total dislike toward this type of a computer system, I am going to give this thing a 4 out of 5. I think that for basic users, like students, kids, even adult students that are in university and college, if all you require is something to maybe watch some content on, do some messaging with, if you're going to maybe cut yourself some 720p crummy video, because 720p sucks, as we all know. But if you're going to do that sort of thing, or you're going to do some sort of a face chat thing, you're going to type your essays, you're going to do your schoolwork on this thing. It does have that capability, but you do have to be aware that there are a lot of applications. If you download more apps, some of these apps, or a vast majority of apps, prefer internal storage. That's where you are lacking with 32 gigs. And even this monster, at twice the price, only has 32 gigs. So you're going to need some external storage. But those programs that require or prefer to be on internal necessarily will not work on an external storage memory card in your micro SD slot. So this causes some bit of limits to these machines, all right? Honestly, there are far better choices out there in the PC world for Windows computers that are similarly priced at, well, not at $200 obviously, but you'll have to spend about probably $350, $400, $500 on a Windows computer to get way more bang for your buck in performance, etc. But if your budget is this, and you're looking at brand new because you want brand new, this is what you get. And you do have limitations you have to learn to live and deal with, okay, until you can afford something better. But students, kids in schools, use Chromebooks depending on the school district. Some school districts, even here in Ontario, some of them are using strictly Apple devices only, whether it be a MacBook or an iPad, what have you, and others are using Chromebooks, okay? And the school can get a really good deal on these things. At $200 retail, they're not paying very much when they're ordering a super massive bulk from the manufacturer, so they get an even greater deal, so they're paying next to nothing for them. But they're great for the kids to a certain degree too, right? They all have their limitations, and we will discuss that further in depth in another video, because you really need to be informed on how to properly buy a Chromebook, period, okay? And that we're going to save for another video. But I would still say, keeping my own dislikes and stuff out of this, I would put this at a 4 out of 5, but I would not recommend Shadow Legends game on this, because it does make this thing get quite hot, which, yeah, and that was only after a couple of minutes, so it's a pretty raunchy game. You would need something like this machine with an ARM chip, and this thing just barely breaks a sweat in comparison. So gaming, cheesy games are going to be fine. It's not a strong processor. But I got this because it's Intel, and you guys know what I'm up to with these things. And I hope I got the right Intel chip for at least succeeding and figuring out how to actually do this. Because I want to see how the results work and how it runs under a Windows OS as well as a Mac OS. So I hope I picked the right Intel chip, or I'm screwed. I'm going to have to save up my money and buy a higher end Chromebook. And I really am not looking forward to having to do that. So let's cross our fingers that this one actually will work, because I have been told it is Intel chips only. So no AMDs, no ARM chips, must be an Intel chip, but nobody got that specific. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, so if you're looking for it, brand new Acer website, have it delivered to your doorstep for $200 Canadian, or whatever that is in the US, because you can go to the Acer US website as well to buy it. You can probably find these things, I don't know, Walmart maybe, whoever sells Chromebooks, Best Buy obviously is another option. But I think it's a pretty neat little machine for the money. It does offer a fair amount of flexibility. How far that flexibility goes, that's going to vary with mileage on what you're doing with this thing and how it's going to go for you. Anyhow, that's where I want to leave this video as far as that goes. So you've got my star rating, you've got my, for $200, it's not a bad little system, but it is not the fastest kid on the block, so just keep that in mind. It is a very slow machine, but it can perform to a certain point. So if it does fit your requirements, then I would say sure, go and buy it. If it doesn't fit your requirements, look for something better, but better is going to cost you more money in Chrome. And if you want to get the more bigger storage capabilities, more RAM capabilities, better processor capabilities in a Chromebook, at that point, you had literally might as well just buy a Windows PC and you will actually save some money at that point. Honestly, you will. Okay? And I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And stay tuned for more on all this Chrome stuff. And let's see what the future brings the channel on this sort of deal and how far I get with it. So new stuff for me to learn for sure. So see ya.